Welcome to Rick's Corner. I have a guest today who's a professional wrestler who has wrestled for ROH, WWE, and currently TNA.
Just asked for my release recently.
Just asked for a release.
Yes,
okay. Brian Kendrick. You guys all know him. You guys watch wrestling. He's here at my school today helping out, giving some critique on my students. And let's talk about when you started your career in pro wrestling. What were you doing prior to that?
Oh, I came pretty much right out of high school. So I was working at a pizza shop, and I was loading up bricks to save up money to go to wrestling school.
Really?
Yes, sir.
And where'd you go?
I went to Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy.
Oh, one of the best.
Yes, sir.
How long did you train there?
The class itself was 3 hours a day, 3 days a week for 3 months, but they were kind enough to let me go 6 days a week, 6 hours a day, and I went for about a year before I got shipped off to Memphis.
You put a lot of time in.
Yeah, basics were what I really strived. I strived for. I wanted to have the best basics I could.
And you were working a job at the same time?
Yeah, I was flipping pizzas again at that same
So,
time.
I mean, you had to have an income in order to pay for the classes and do what you had to do. That's what a lot of people ask. Hitting the gym, too?
Yes, sir.
So you're doing it all?
Yes, sir.
And that's what it takes, isn't it?
Absolutely.
See, now, this was what year?
This would have been 99.
Okay.
99 through 2000.
And after your training, you were doing, actually, were you doing indie shows during your training at all?
For Sean's school, I was, yeah.
Right, okay. So we had shows.
Oh, yeah.
And then after that, you went to what level?
The Developmental in Memphis, they had a territory, and WWE had a Developmental territory in Memphis. Closed down when I was there, but I was there for about a year or so before it shut down.
How'd that work out for you?
It was great. That's where I got to meet William Regal, got to meet Tracy Smothers and Bobby Eaton and Robbie Brookside, who, as much as we wanted to train, they put the effort right back into us. So it was a great experience.
It was worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
And they gave you a push?
Yeah, yes they did.
Okay, and then from doing the indies, you went into a contract with who?
Oh, from there, when the Developmental shut down, I moved out here to California. I had a friend who let me sleep on his floor, so I could go work for Rick Bassman at UPW in an attempt to get to Japan. When that didn't work out, I had a friend in Cincinnati. Chris Benoit was coming back from neck surgery, so I moved in and crashed on his floor and trained under him for a little while. And then from there, I went to Japan. And from Japan, I got re-signed with WWE to a TV contract.
Oh, man, that's so good. Japan's a little bit stiffer, right?
Oh, yeah.
They work you.
They beat the heck out of you.
Yeah.
I loved it, though.
When you signed a contract with WWE, that was a developmental contract?
The first one when Memphis was a developmental. After Cincinnati and doing Japan, it was a straight-to-TV contract.
And how long were you with them?
At that point, I was there for about 2.5 years, and I was 23 at the time I asked for my release there, and I just felt I wasn't getting any better. I was wrestling guys who, even though I was young and I guess big-headed too, I thought that the guys were inferior to me,
Yeah.
so I asked Vince if I could please get a release to go become a better wrestler, and I went back to Japan.
Yeah. That's normal to feel that way, though, because when I started in the business, too, I thought they were giving guys push that didn't need it, that didn't deserve it. And I think we all go through that. We think we're the best that we are, and these guys really aren't worth it. But there's not a lot of control there. I mean, you have to do what the book says, you know.
Yes, sir.
And it's the way it is. However, you were making money and working, which is more than most do. After you left and went back to Japan, how long were you there?
There for about another year and a half before I signed another contract with WWE.
Oh, so you came back?
Oh yeah, I've been signed 1 developmental and 2 TV contracts, and then I was there for about I guess 3 years, maybe 4 years, and then got fired. And blame it on myself. I let my ego get in the way again, and my attitude was about a bit out of control. And
well, that happens.
It did. I was in my late 20s and too high on myself.
Yeah, but it happens. You're not that way now, though.
I hope not.
I don't see it at all. I don't see it at all. You're very humble.
Thank you, sir.
After that, you went to, where'd you go from there?
To TNA.
Straight to TNA?
Yes, sir.
You did ROH too, though?
Oh, yeah. I in the meantime, when I was living in Cincinnati and out here in California, I was going to TNA, to ROH. I was actually on their first show. Was in their first title match. It was a 4-way with Christopher Daniels, Loki, Doug Williams. I was there with Brian Danielson, Daniel Bryan now. Great crew.
Chris Daniels is from out here.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when he started.
Yeah.
And he struggled and he struggled and he hung in there and hung in there and hung in there, and he's working, which is great. So now you're doing what?
floating around on the indies just as of recently, and we'll see where it takes me. Whether WWE gives me another shot. If they don't, I can't blame them.
Is that what you want?
I'd like that. Yeah, that's my goal. You know, if it's not meant to be, then then you know I'll try to pursue Japan as well, because I'm very fond of the style and the
so
the
you can
lifestyle.
you can always find work.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I have been able to so far.
Now, a lot of you people call into me, and I had 2 phone calls this morning, one from Oklahoma, one Missouri. I got one at 5:30 in the morning. I got one at 8:30 in the morning. Woke me up, and it's usually from younger people that want to become wrestlers. It's not that easy, and he'll tell you have to put a lot of time in.
Yeah, I think you know, I'm a bit of a hippie in this idea, but I think you have to for the universe to reward you, you have to put the effort out there.
Right.
And so you know, wishing and wanting to be a wrestler is one thing, but I think we're also we all know what we need to do.
Yeah.
And so with me training 6 hours a day, 6 days a week instead of 3 hours, 3 days a week, it's because I wanted to not give myself any excuses. And so if I wasn't going to be able to be a wrestler, it wasn't from lack of me trying.
Right.
And so you know, it's I think if you're not working as hard as you can, then you're never going to get there.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, they call in and they say they have their entry music and they know their finishing move, and they can jump off the top rope. And we just talked about that in class today. Jumping off the top rope is not wrestling. You need to know how to wrestle, and you need to find a school, and you got to be able to afford a school and have a job and do all those things it takes, because no one's going to give it to you for free, and you have to put a lot of time in, and you're not going to be the WWE superstar overnight, right?
Yeah, I mean, and perhaps never.
And perhaps never.
Yeah.
Probably a better chance of never.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the numbers, for sure, and there's a lot of great wrestlers who never get a shot, but at the same time, they've got to be honest with themselves as to what they're lacking and try to work on that.
Right,
too.
exactly. But you definitely have to have. You have to have a look. You have to have charisma.
Yes.
You've got to be able to understand the business as a worker and know what it takes to become a wrestler and deal with an audience. It's not all glitz and glamour like you see on TV, sitting home on your couch thinking, oh, that's as easy. Bumps hurt. Ropes hurt. Yes, you write in and say, does that hurt? Yes, that hurts. Everything hurts. And you've got to be able to withstand that, and you'll have injuries.
Yeah.
Lots of them.
Yeah. And
you have to work through them. And it might take you 10 years, 20 years to even reach the goal that you want. But you can always do indie shows locally.
Sure.
And I've had people ask me, well, how do I find a school near me? And I don't even know how you find a school near you. I mean, in some small town somewhere. But tell me if I'm wrong. Most cities do have somewhere, shape or form, a little indie show somewhere.
Oh, yeah. They're out there for the most part. But for me, I grew up in Washington State, and I moved down to Texas to go to a wrestling school because,
right.
I mean, if you're going to be a wrestler anyways, you're not going to be home most of the time.
That's
anyways,
right.
If you're on the road at the point you want to be, WWE or in Japan. So, you know, you have to make, if you want to be a wrestler, it's a commitment.
Right. You find the place. If you can move, which is really hard, because I have many of you tell me you're going to move out to California, you're 12 years old, and your parents are going to move out here so you can become a wrestler. It's not going to happen. First of all, you got to be old enough, be legal to do it, and they're not going to move out to invest money in you at 12 years old to become a wrestler. I know it's your dream, but there are indie shows within your town somewhere, and somewhere out there, you got to find them, go to them, talk to the guys in the ring, and say, where do you guys work out? Maybe I can come sit in and learn some stuff, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the way to do it, because then you'll find out the basics. Then you'll know if you want to do it or not.
For sure, for sure. It's, you know, before there was so many schools, that's how you broke it, from what I understand. With the territories, you had to be that pushy kid who you know, begged just to get your...
That's what I did.
I'm sure you got beat up for a long time, too.
I got beat up for a long time. I trained with Mae Young for months and months and months every day at the Olympic Auditorium upstairs on a makeshift ring on a hardwood floor with a pad on it. And then I got my first match, and of course I had to do a job for Buddy Austin. He gave me a pile driver, but you know, I was happy to get in the business.
Yeah.
And then every night at that point, you'd work with some experienced wrestler, and he'd stiff you a little bit and tell you what you're doing wrong, come back to the dressing room, and then he would sit and explain. Because if you really wanted it bad enough, you just keep your mouth shut and listen.
Yes, sir.
And keep going.
Yes, sir.
And that's how I did it. And then I went to the South, which was a little bit different style. And since I was from L.A., they said, Hollywood, blonde, blue eyes, okay, we're going to teach him a thing or two. So every night I had to work with some guy working stiff with me and give it back to him until the second week, then they all respected me and everything else. You know how that goes, right? So,
yes, sir.
Anyway, that's the best advice that we can give you, and I'm really happy that you came in and talked to us because they'll appreciate this a lot.
I appreciate your time, Rick. Thank you for having me, sir.
And you're welcome back here anytime.
I appreciate. I'll take you up on that.
Stay tuned for more Rick's Corner and watch about wrestling, watch about bodybuilding, watch about everything I have to give you because it's good information you'll never find anywhere else in this world. See you next time.